Stupid science. Stupid science.
Science. Pew, pew, pew. Welcome, y'all. It is Stupid Science, JD Adler and Lisa Booker. So glad you joined us for this podcast, and we are ready to start my absolute favorite section, Stupid Criminals.
Stupid Criminals.
They so stupid.
Stupid Criminals. We got a good selection this month, as we head into this July 4th edition.
Patriotic stupidity.
Some real good stuff. We start off right here with this is Florida man really living large.
I love Florida man
this
so
year.
hard.
Right over at Orlando. We're going to start over at Atlanta.
That's where the mouse is.
Where that's not all, because as everybody knows, Disney's taking over everything. They're taking over Star Wars and everything else.
Yeah.
And
I made that joke when I was 10. I was like, we're all going to end up working for Disney.
Yes.
I was right, yo.
Yes, you were the only one who ever predicted that. But
they stole from me. Everybody stole from me, like Little Richard.
Well, ironic that you should mention that, because this Florida man decided he wanted to. This Florida man David Emerson Proudfoot, age 44 of Kissimmee, Florida, decided he was trying to get work with Disney. He decided he wanted to be a security guard for Disney, according to him.
Mr. Proudfoot?
And he thought he would impress Disney
I might not laugh at
with his ability to analyze and probe their security flaws. And he would demonstrate this skill by stealing R2-D2 from Disney.
Everybody stole from me.
First he applies for the job, and then immediately after applying for the job, he decides to prove his worth as a security person by stealing R2-D2.
I don't know why everyone doesn't do this when they want to get a job. Steal the company's droid. Did he successfully steal it, or did he get caught?
He got caught well before he made it off. And then he lied to them about his identity, and then he lied.
He was being covert.
This is
covert. All part of the plan. I respect it. I'm not laughing at Proudfoot. I just feel like he can do no wrong. R2-D2. I bet C-3PO ratted him out. I don't think you should be taking this droid, sir.
So what else we got? What we got going on here in Florida? The big Florida women are weighing in as we head into the... they don't want to be left behind. Out in Arcadia, Florida.
It's beautiful there.
44-year-old Florida woman went to visit.
Is that a drinking game? Do people listen and every time I say it's beautiful there? I hope so, regardless of when you listen to this. If you're on treadmill, on your way to work, every time I'm like, oh, it's beautiful there.
Just have a drink.
Gulp.
Have a drink. Drinking with Lisa. That'll be our next podcast. Drinking with Lisa.
Oh, it's going to go downhill real fast. And then I become one of the stupid criminals. It all eats itself.
Life is a circle. So a 44-year-old Florida woman decided she was going to go visit a relative in prison. And she brings this infant with her to the prison to come and visit.
Babysitters are not cheap.
Right. And it's a long day at the prison. So, of course, the guards at the DeSoto Correctional Institute needed to search everything, including the baby carrier.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
When coming in. And upon doing so, you say it makes sense. It makes sense to you because...
Now that I think about it, fool me once, somebody probably snuck some stuff in there, like a file from the movies.
Right.
Or a cake with a file in it.
Or perhaps 100 grams of cocaine, as this woman did.
He was going to be popular, or whoever you were going to visit, they were going to be popular. I don't know how you were going to get 100 grams of anything to that person, but...
Then they went over to the car. Once they had found the 100 grams...
Hey, I didn't say nothing about looking in my car.
Where they found, with the help of a dog, an additional 687 grams of cocaine and heroin located inside the car.
Well, was she going to make multiple visits to this one person, or did she have half a dozen people to see?
It's a long day. There's a lot of prisons to visit.
Wow. is this even your baby, ma'am?
Right, where did
Is
this
this
baby...
just a cover? Is this your partner?
Did they have a search warrant for that baby's?
They had a warrant for her, but not for the baby.
Not for the
they were
baby.
Like, no, the carrier belonged to the baby. And the baby did not give you consent. And tell me why you had probable cause, sir, to search and seizure of this baby's belongings.
That was that baby's cocaine. It wasn't my cocaine.
That baby is a bad seed.
Keep you up all night. So, another now, every once in a while we get trends in these stories. Like people dressing up like cops is a trend in Florida crime news, stupid crime news. For one example, people stealing construction equipment and driving it down the highway. That's another trend. But I have a new one this month. We have a new one this month. A new
Someone
trend.
hitting a loved one in the face with food?
No, that's another trend. That would not be a new one. That's a reoccurring one. We have a new trend altogether.
I wish we had a sound drop for
Right. We have a new trend. I got two stories here tonight, both follow in kind of the same trend, same story theme.
This is exciting. Hit me with the new trend. I gotta etch it into our "Thou shalt not" commandment.
South Florida.
I heard of it. It's beautiful there.
Danny Mercado Gomez has been arrested in Virginia Key because he was on the beach sacrificing animals. Yeah, that's what I said.
What?
Sacrificing animals. He was on the beach sacrificing animals.
For what purpose?
Apparently, according to the Virginia Key Outdoor Center, 2 men killed 2 chickens and left their beheaded corpses wrapped in plastic bags on the beach before workers in the center rescued 6 adult hens and another dozen pigeons.
They may have been barbecued and just clean up their mess.
Why would it be? The plastic bags are just to keep everything neat?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Food safety handling.
They had been stolen the prior night, the pigeons, from a breeder.
Okay.
Because they're trained for racing. So this is probably all just off the hook. They were probably involved in the pigeon racing, and this was their plan to win the race, was to steal the pigeons. And the beheaded chickens was just a cover story.
We watch way too many comedic formulaic detective shows.
Right, this is like, if this is Psych or whatever.
That's like written all over it. Yeah, it had to be.
Gomez.
So if you want pigeons for sacrifice, you just grab a pigeon.
Just grab a pigeon off
You
that.
took these trained pigeons.
Right.
You're trying to win a race.
According to the Miami-Dade police, Gomez of Hialeah,
It's beautiful there.
no, it's not,
No.
claimed he was exercising.
Where I lived, it was nice.
He claimed he was exercising his religious freedom when they are by
Worth a
sacrificing those animals.
It's worth a shot.
It's worth a shot.
You say 3 things. You ask, am I free to go? And you say I invoke my lawyer, my silence, and then you just throw in there just in case this was religious stuff. So can I go now? Is my freedom of religion? No? Darn it.
9 citations for illegally dumping the carcasses and having live chickens in a public park. $7,500.
Okay. You got this. With your winnings from that pigeon race that your parents trying to fix. Way to go, Miami. We'll race anything. South Florida, we will race anything.
So,
If it moves, we'll race it. Including vibrators. No exaggeration.
so either that's a story about a guy trying to fix our pigeon race by kidnapping them, or that's a story about a guy actually trying to sacrifice animals on the beach in Virginia Key because he's trying to raise the spirits or whatever. And if that's the case, then that fits in kind of with his next story.
Well, because I was going to say that's a nice choose-your-own-adventure. I was like, we need to cut this out because I'm about to write that graphic novel, right?
There you go with some adult choose-your-own-adventures.
Turn to page 25. If you're sacrificing to the old gods and the new gods, turn to page 30 and continue.
In Pinellas County, Florida,
Oh, dear sweet Jesus.
a Florida man was arrested.
Can we go one?
No,
podcast?
never. We've never gotten a stupid criminal story without including Pinellas County. A Florida man was arrested Wednesday after deputies said he was caught on camera setting his boss's house on fire in early May.
Well, you shouldn't have pissed off somebody from Pinellas County. I'm talking to everyone who's ever met me because I'm from Pinellas County. Don't piss us off.
His deputy said that Mr. Tan Ha, that's I'm guessing Vietnamese name perhaps, Tan Ha, age 54,
because I don't want to make it mad. Go ahead.
was caught on multiple surveillance videos approaching the newly constructed St. Petersburg home at noon.
Bright daylight.
Rode up on a bicycle locks the bike, walks in.
Because he doesn't want crime to happen to him. He doesn't want anybody to steal his bike.
He locks it
his property.
He locks it to a stop sign, which, by the way, is illegal. And then, that's not part of the story. I'm just throwing that out there.
No, that's the first crime. The arson was thrown in afterwards.
Then he walks up to the home, covering his face, trying to cover his face with his shirt. You know, like when he pulls his shirt up over your nose.
Yeah, that useless way of covering your face.
And then 5 minutes later, he's caught on camera running back to his bicycle. And the home is on fire.
I was just running in this neighborhood because there was a fire.
So you may be asking yourself, how is this connected to the prior story about the chicken sacrifice, the animal sacrifice? When the deputies arrested him later on, that day, I'm assuming, and asked him why he did it, he said it was because the spirits told him to.
Okay, let him go. We cannot persecute this person.
Religious freedom. It's another religious freedom story on crime.
Let's give it a shot. Let's see.
Why not? Can't make me bake a cake and you can't stop me from burning down a house. It's my religion.
Amen. Wow, son, my religion told me?
My religion told me to do it.
Pissed off somebody in their 50s. That's a Gen Xer. We don't give a damn about anything. How pissed you gotta be to make us actually get up and do strong violence? He set a house on fire.
Set the dude's house. His new house. It was his boss's new house that he had not moved into yet.
Oh, it smells nice.
He went over there. He's like, this is what you did with all my raises you didn't give me? Boom.
Yep.
Burn that down.
To the ground. Oh, I gotta get back to my bike. Oh, that went up quick. New construction's burned real quick. Gotta go.
Get my bike.
No time
Since
to
I
come.
can't afford a car because you put all my car money into your brand new house.
Guess what? Neither one of us.
Now, neither one. I don't got a car and you don't got a house. How's that taste?
I love it. Let this man go. And it was his religious
It was his religious freedom. The spirits told him to do it. Our final story of the Stupid Criminal segment, we're going down to Chile. Chile.
It's beautiful there.
Yes, it is, as a matter of fact. We're a worker, so obviously people there get paid in pesos, not dollars. And this employee at the Chilean frozen food giant Cial, so basically like Publix, yeah. So their version of Publix, Cial, up in Chile, down in Chile, whatever. It doesn't matter. From space, it's all the same. Anyway, irrelevant. This employee at the Chilean Publix called Cial.
See.
He gets paid
In pesos.
He's supposed to get paid 500,000 pesos a month.
Okay.
One day he goes to his bank, and instead of 500,000 pesos, there is 1.5 million pesos.
That's different.
That's different. 330 times his actual pay was in the bank from his employer. Okay. So he says to his employer, what should I do? And they're like, well, you should return it to us.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's a mistake.
Brave, good on him for even contacting them.
And he says to his employer, I will do that first thing in the morning. Goes home.
Okay.
Next day, he's late for work. His employer calls him at home and is like, where you at? He's like, oh, dude, sorry. Overslept. I'll be there in a little bit.
You wait on me.
Take care of that right away. His employer does not see him again. Ever. A month later, he gets a letter from the man's lawyer.
A letter.
Telling him, that's my money. And you can't have it.
Well, here's what you did with your money. You gave it to me.
And he just...
You sent a letter? Did he open the letter? Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, he sent a letter saying he was resigned, that he was quitting his job through the lawyer. And he was just gone. They don't know where he is.
Yeah, you effed up. You need your insurance to cover this. You effed up. You accidentally, you handed some money to somebody and they took it and ran.
Yeah, and keep in mind, for the company, as far as the company, this is roughly 100,000 US dollars. This 1.5 million pesos.
You can have fun in Fiji.
So for him, for this guy,
and live another life somewhere else.
Yeah, for this guy, it's huge.
Yeah.
For the company, it's a little bit painful, but not that much. But they were like, yeah, he's like, I'll bring it in tomorrow. I'll bring it tomorrow, no worries.
I love that he called. Just what do you think I should do?
Oh, yeah, I'll definitely.
And then he hung up the phone with his employer.
Yeah.
And then he talked to his wife.
Yes. His wife was like, we ain't giving that money back.
You try to give that money back.
Let's take a look at the list of countries that do not have extradition with Chile.
Hey, Siri.
And they were out. I love the fact that they call him next morning. He's like, oh, yeah, dude, just overslept. Nothing to worry about. On my way in.
I respect you so much. You gave
On
me.
my way.
How is that an F up?
And then they split. He and his lady were just like, wow. All right, and on that note, we're going to take a musical break. And when we come back,
Music.
science news.
Stupid science. Stupid science.
Science. Pew, pew, pew. And we're back. It is time for my absolute favorite section, science.
Science. All right, and we got some good stuff in the science news segment this month. There's some cool things happening in the world of science.
Makes me happy.
We start off in Science Robotics, the journal Science Robotics.
Yep.
There's an article about a new chip being developed,
I love chips.
and the way it works, a professor at the Center for Brain-Inspired Computing Research at Tsinghua University. He's one of the corresponding authors of the study. They've been developing computer chips that allow a computer to make quick decisions in a robot to make quick decisions in a cat and mouse chase. So apparently, with developing AI for
Like strategic decisions.
right for robots, there's the type of software, the type of programming that's necessary for movements of the machine itself.
Just left, right, up, down.
And then there's the type of programming that's required for making choices.
Logical reasoning.
Right? And, there's a tree in front of me.
If then.
How do I get around it?
Right.
And having both of these things in the hardware of the robot has been a challenge.
Okay.
So what they're developing is a real-time multitasking robot.
Device.
Is what they're trying to do.
Great. Can it do my laundry and wash dishes?
Hypothetically, yes. Quote, the multitasking intelligent robot needs high computing power, high concurrency, low power consumption, high flexibility of resource scheduling,
Me too.
and easy-to-use computing hardware, so as to run intensive algorithms locally in real time. So, basically, that's
The hurdles that have
it needs to be able to do a lot of things at once without getting without shutting down because it's too much for it to do. Like all of us, actually,
Yeah.
as you just pointed out.
Same. Robot.
And it ends
Get
up,
in line.
yeah, and it's a power drain, is what it is. The more you're asking the computer to do, the more power it takes, right? So having a robot that can move around easily and maintain that kind of power supply is, of course, the challenge.
All Matrix viewers, go with me. The next step, we'll make them solar powered. And then the step after that, well, I don't know who struck first. But one of us blotted out the sun. Oh man, we are in a race for which dystopic future we want.
So, of course, in order to add to that thought, in order to see whether or not they are properly developing towards this goal of the multitasking hardware.
Agile, strategic hardware.
Using these, because they're developing microchips, because the microchip, the smaller the chip, the less power needed, right? Solving that energy problem. They are developing these robots. They're naming them Tom and Jerry, and they're putting them in a cat and mouse game. So that one's trying to escape and the other one's trying to catch, because that is a very complex multitask, quick thinking.
End goal stakes are clear,
right?
But how to get to that goal when Jerry is constantly
Right. Now, a
adjusting.
lot of choices have to be made rapidly as
And adjust it.
as what's happening in front of you changes. So that's the game. So it is.
Make them real easy to catch me the robots to catch me when I try to flee.
Yeah.
Got it.
So as they describe it here, quote, it needs the collaboration of a multiple sensory information to deal with complex and dynamic scenarios, which is considered as the key for robots to achieve human-like intelligence, end quote, wrote Shi, Ma, and Zhang, the three authors of the paper.
Excellent. You
So,
just be smarter
good
than
news.
me and faster than me and
Stronger than me,
quick
more
thinking,
resilient
more
than me.
resilient. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Sure. Nothing bad could happen.
Which brings us to our next story.
Oh, Lord. This is the podcast you listen to. Let's just retitle this End of Date. Because there's nothing left but stupid people and scientific advancements that will bring about the end of the smart people.
In the May issue of Science Robotics.
Oh, no. I'm going to
Um,
start drinking during this podcast. We're going to watch Lisa go from a drink every once in a while to, just make it through the day.
in the May issue of Science, I'm sorry about her. I don't know what's going on over there. But in the May issue,
The robots are going to come after me. That's what's about. That's what's about.
keep
me.
talking about them like this, they will. In the May issue of Science Robotics, Xing Zhao, a PhD candidate at Zhejiang University. There's a good chance I totally mispronounced all of those words.
Right past it, like you did it, like you pronounced it perfectly.
He's the lead author of Zhejiang University. He's a lead author of the study, Dr. Zhao, in which they are designing aerial robots that can fly through difficult terrain like a forest, for example, in a swarm, in a coordinated fashion.
Wait, hold on. Hold it. Gulp. They can pilot themselves as opposed to there's a man with a remote piloting them?
Yeah, that's not going to work. That's too complicated for something like a forest or a city full of skyscrapers as this thing's moving through at whatever speeds you're hoping to get them up to.
Faster than I can run speed?
Faster than I can figure, right, certainly faster than you can run, yes, as they're chasing you through this terrain.
Ooh, we need a sound effect of me cracking open a bottle of gluten-free beer. Go ahead.
According to the lead author, quote, how to build a robotic swarm is always the ultimate target of many robotic researchers around the world.
Why, though? There's me at the door, but why is this your goal? Why would you just swarm, though? We need 4. Turns out 4 is all you need in drones. We don't need a swarm. Turns out we just need 4 drones to work in unison to do something for good.
He says, imagine a forest search and rescue scenario where we need to search for missing persons. Time is life, and the swarm needs to plan smooth and fast trajectories to cover as much area as possible within a limited time.
To hunt down, to rescue a human.
Yes, he talks about how our aerial robots are equipped with stereo cameras and onboard computers, which allow them to precisely understand the environment and plan nice trajectories. These are his words, I'm quoting him. Also, they share information among the group and cooperate with others to mimic the swarm flight of birds in challenging natural environments.
Way to go, giving them the hive mind.
According to the article, all of the tests indicate the new path planning system, that's the software organizing them, can enable autonomous aerial robotic swarms to coordinate and achieve previously challenging tasks in crowded airspace. So, there's no way a police department's going to want that. They describe it as being for search and rescue, animal and plant research, aerial traffic.
Okay, sure.
They in no way list law enforcement. They don't even seem to conceive of the idea of why law enforcement would want this.
No one's going to cut you.
The Marshal's Department, the
No
U.S.
one's
Marshal's
gonna-
Office isn't going to want one of these.
They're not going to cut you a fat check and walk away with all this research one.
In more positive news,
What do you mean? That was the most positive thing I've heard in years.
a flexible electronic implant
Okay.
could one day make pain
The brain and the
management a lot more chill, as they describe it here, because it's cold. It uses cold. So picture a piece of tape about the length of your forefinger, and there's a wire running up the middle of that tape. And the materials dissolve. They will over time just dissolve and disappear into your body. But in the meantime, while they're in your body, it is wrapped around whatever nerve is relevant to the pain you're having.
Pain signals. Okay.
And it cools them. It cools the nerve. And the cooling that is providing to the nerve, the actual cooler temperature that is providing to the nerve reduces the pain that your brain is receiving.
Fund this. This is what I'm talking about.
Apparently it is far from ready for human use, but it could potentially, quote, let patients dial up or down the pain relief they need at any given moment.
Adjustable. Wow. See, that's what I'm talking about. That is fascinating.
Apparently nerves are very fragile, so that they need something very gentle. An ideal implant would be...
They are bastards, though. Fragile bastards.
Yeah, so that's why they want it to be absorbed by the body so they don't have to go back in and try and remove it. It's made from a water-soluble material, and it features a soft cuff that wraps around a nerve like toilet paper on a roll, and tiny channels snake down its rubbery length. And then there's this liquid coolant that's pumped through the channel. When it finally evaporates, the process draws heat from the underlying nerve. Temperature sensor helps scientists hit the sweet spot, cold enough to block pain, but not too cold to damage the nerve.
Damage it. The reason. Ingenious. That's what I'm talking about. Way to go, scientists. Really help a lot of people once it gets to the point of practical application.
Yeah, and apparently they did it to rats. They've put it in rats, and of course they then tortured the rats to see if it would work, but not really tortured. That's an exaggeration. They would poke their paw, put pressure on their paw.
Stimulated
and
response.
Apparently they could put far more pressure, like 7 times the amount of pressure, because of course they were measuring the pressure with an instrument. They could put 7 times the amount of pressure on the paw.
And the rats were like, big deal. Who cares?
Before they reacted. Once this thing was put in.
Oh, a lot of people are enduring a lot of pain as they're
they're imagining it as like an acute pain, like after surgery type pain, rather than
healing.
Chronic.
As they're healing from something. Fascinating. That's what I was thinking as well.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
It impedes getting better in rehabilitation because patients are dealing with such excruciating pain that if you could dial back that pain a bit, they could spend more of their energy in getting better and rehabilitating.
Yeah, this is the work of
their muscles and so forth. Fascinating. Way to go. Fund it.
This is
Planet has the money.
This is the work of bioengineer John Rogers at Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois.
The name sounds made up. That is fascinating.
And was published in July in the July 1st issue of Science magazine.
Way to go.
The journal.
Way to go, Rogers.
All right.
The new Captain America. That is fascinating. Excellent, excellent. Pain management.
That's really pretty amazing. And then for our final story of the Science News section and of the day, we go back in time. Back in prehistory.
Okay, I love
Back when cave folk used to put artwork on the walls of the caves,
Ooh, do tell.
which they inhabited. Apparently, it has been determined, this is in the April, according to researchers published in April 20th issue of PLOS 1, PLOS 1, that's all capital letters, that according to the research, they've determined that the firelight moving around and casting shadows around the cave was part of the artwork. That the movement created by the firelight flickering was in fact part of the artwork. So they animated their artwork in a way.
I love a graphic designer.
In Montastruc, there are these engravings of animals like horses and ibex and deer. The site was used by Magdalenian people, hunter-gatherers who inhabited the area between 23,000 and 14,000 years ago. They analyzed the heat damage on the stones, which shows that there was direct exposure to the heat not from a distance or even that there had been direct exposure brought to the stone.
Got it.
And created 3D models of these plaquettes. And then doing that, they created 3D software because they didn't want to re-expose the stuff to fire and damage the historic find, right?
Just let it blaze.
So they created computer models and then had a computer simulated fire and see where the shadows would be cast and all of that. And they were able to virtually recreate what it would look like.
And discern, hey, as the flickering of the flames, they adjust and animate and are part of the experience. Yeah, it's like their TV as opposed to their paintings.
Yeah, and so like they could see that the artists would paint, or whatever you want to call it, the images along the side of the cave, or along the contours of the cave, so that as the light flickered, it would change the experience of the image for the viewing audience.
That's tight.
Yeah, that's really very impressive.
That is very inspiring. There's all that creative spirit inside of us to use what we have, and how we continue to discover and be impressed by our ancestors.
And that brings us to the end of the science news with that wonderful little art story out of France. That is July. It's Stupid Science.
Stupid Science. JD and Lisa.
Stay safe out there, folks.
Stupid science. Stupid science. Stupid science.